Alright, YouTube, baby-faced spawn of Fidel Castro, Justin Trudeau, up in Canada, the leader of Canada, is having a few problems right now. He had a Marco Roboto moment while he was being questioned by not one or two, but apparently all other political parties within Canada, which sort of ganged up on him in bemusement at how stupid Justin Trudeau and his party really are. Apparently what happened is that once he was elected in his official capacity as the head of Canada, mailers were sent out by his party for fundraisers for the party, which appeared to conflate him and his official government role with the party fundraising apparatus, which means that, and what they're terming it is pay to meet, essentially Justin Trudeau, in a de facto sense, soliciting donations from including foreign donors, not just domestic, for the party in his official government role. That is, that people have to pay to meet with him as they would normally meet with a government official, people who are wealthy, they're, businessmen or whatever, people with political clout. In order to actually gain access to him, they had to pay like $1,500 a pop to meet with him. And what apparently additionally is making this worse is that somebody, actually a pair of investors from China, members of the Chinese Communist Party, came, they paid, they went to meet with Trudeau, then they dropped $1 million funding the Liberal Party of Canada. I think it's going to become a problem. Now, Justin Trudeau is not an intelligent man. He speaks very well. He looks young and fresh. He has sort of the Hobbit face. It looks like if he were a foot shorter, he would fit in Hobbiton. He even speaks like a hobbit. But he was not elected because of any skill or any honesty or any moral integrity on his behalf. He was elected because he is young, he is literate and well-spoken, and he's able to convince people of things. But that gift left him during the examination that was launched against him, the line of questioning by the other parties in Canada. Instead of actually addressing the issue, he repeatedly, I think 3 or 4 times in a row, said exactly the same thing, and it reminded me so much of Marco Rubio when he had his meltdown there against Chris Christie during the debates, the Republican debates here on this side of that border. What happened, of course, we all remember, Marco Rubio gave his scripted answer. He started it again, and Chris Christie pointed it out, and then he tried it 2 or 3 more times, to the point at which even Chris Christie, who himself is corrupt, let's not make any mistake here, was actually aghast. It looked like he didn't know actually how to respond further because he was confused as to how somebody like Rubio could make such a basic mistake trying to get their point across. Instead of actually confirming or denying that this had happened, or explaining why it happened, or trying to explain away the scandal in a way that the average Canadian would perhaps accept if they supported him to begin with, he simply launched into the same script over and over again. Oh, we have the highest fundraising standards. People can trust this government. He never denied the fact that he was taking money from the Chinese Communist Party, though, did he? And that's the point. He was trying not to even address the problem. And the reason why politicians do this, they won't address something if they would have to directly lie about it. Which means that he's basically confirming for all of Canada, yeah, my party is taking money from people with me as the figurehead role, as my official role as your leader. I am soliciting foreign money for my political movement. That's essentially what he's saying. But he's not, obviously, he wouldn't actually say that. He's trying to make it seem like the opposite is true. But he failed at that endeavor. And then there was a second meeting I saw, I think it was a few days before, with much the same questioning. That was the one with the Communist Party, and he did the same thing. I think 3 times in a row there. A few days later, they had this second line of questioning. They found apparently that this style of fundraising was more systemic than just, a one-off sort of thing. And people were laughing their asses off on the other side, and it looked like it wasn't just, a bunch of conservatives decided to have a laugh at Justin Trudeau's expense. It looks like basically everybody else in Canada understands what's going on. But he has confirmed when a politician repeatedly says the same thing without actually addressing the substance of a charge against them. They don't come out and deny it flatly. They don't try to explain it in a roundabout way that indicates, yeah, maybe there's something fishy, maybe you're not quite hitting the nail on the head, but something fishy's up. When they come out and they refuse to even address the central question, and they use the same response multiple times, it means that they're lying. It's fairly obvious to comprehend. Justin Trudeau's lying. Yes, he in his official role as the leader of Canada, he was soliciting foreign donations for his party, including money from communists. Now, this might help to explain, since I assume that this sort of thing, this general idea, has gone on in various forms for some time. That might explain why there are so many members of the Communist Party that settle in Canada and seem to slowly overrun certain urban areas in British Columbia, I believe it is, in that general region. Yeah, that might explain it. Might also help to explain why Justin Trudeau's mother apparently was in Cuba around the time she would have gotten pregnant, and that he does appear to look, strangely enough, exactly like a young Fidel Castro. Even speaks a little bit like him. And he's just as brainless, let's face it. He doesn't have many marbles left in his head. He's just well-spoken. Anybody can speak well. Marco Rubio, he spoke very well for the most part till his mental breakdown up on stage when he was questioned about the fact that everything that he was saying was scripted. That's why he was well-spoken. This is what a lot of politicians do. They get very good at reading a script to make it seem like it's an improvised speech. Obama does this. Obama reads, generally speaking, from a teleprompter. When he doesn't have a teleprompter, he doesn't speak actually that well. When he's reading from a teleprompter, though, he's able to craft what he's saying in such a way that it sounds like it's improvised. It sounds like he's just winging it. It sounds like, oh yeah, I'm just up here, I can talk for 2-3 hours without even a prompt. I can do that. There are other people online that can do that. Obama's not one of them. Justin Trudeau is not one of them. He's incapable of doing so. The average politician, they can give a somewhat rehearsed stump speech for half an hour, and they can do it without a script, without a teleprompter, maybe with a few notes scribbled on the back of their hand. That's the extent of their speaking capabilities. Most countries haven't seen a leader with actually developed charismatic personality in a long time. There are very few of these people left in the world. That's the old guard of the way of speaking. So thankfully, what that does, especially with the internet to spread this footage around, is it allows us to see when they're blatantly lying. Sometimes it can be hard to tell, but when a politician does specifically this, it's like the textbook example of, you know, oh shit, I've been caught out in a lie, and I can't wing it because I'll probably, you know, they're giving me enough rope to hang myself with. Uh-oh, I better just revert to this script because it sounds good. It's like tested by a focus group or something like that. That's what they do. That's what Trudeau's doing. He's a little baby-faced hobbit man who likes to appear very personable, he almost goes a little bit into the like big man, big stick sort of stuff where he's like planking or he's showing off his supposedly hyper-developed muscles, showing little, you know, animated images of him boxing. Like that one where he gets punched on the jaw one time and he just falls flat on his ass. Yeah, very impressive, Justin. It's funny to see because he doesn't have actually that many skills other than he happens to look the role. He looks the role of a young, personable leader, and he speaks like a young, personable leader. But the second there's a little bit of stress on him, he reverts back to using this tired old script several times over, so that everybody else, I have to assume, other members of his party took him aside afterwards, said, what the hell were you doing? Why didn't you, you know, go a little bit off the script to make it sound at least a little bit different each time? Now, the opposition probably knew that he would do this. That's why they pushed him with similar questions several times in a row. To show the Canadian people, yeah, look at him. This is your glorious leader. This is the dude, this is Lol Weed Man. This is the dude who supposedly was going to legalize weed and balance the budget, and we'd be so well off, we'd be more wealthy, you'd have better social programs, and we wouldn't break the budget in doing so, and he was so honest, and all of his opponents were hideous personalities. It turns out he's just another hideous personality, honestly. In fact, one of the few modern speakers within politics, say what you want about generally his speaking skills, who can actually deliver a somewhat coherent speech without a teleprompter is Donald Trump. I know a lot of people don't even understand this. When he goes off script, when he doesn't have a teleprompter at some rallies and so forth, most of the time he's actually capable of speaking fairly well. The incoherence there is because his mind's running ahead of his mouth sometimes. Some people have this problem. They need to train themselves in order to not get horribly off subject. Sometimes I have a tendency to rant. I don't really bother trying to modulate myself because it doesn't seem to bother people. If you're going to run for office, obviously, it's a little bit different. You have to have some substance there for people to digest. Justin Trudeau's message, though, had none. Not one bit of it. All he did, he didn't even straightly deny what people were saying about him. He just said, oh, we have the most advanced fundraising ethics of any party in Canada. The Canadian people can trust my party. They can trust me. Well, yeah, that's a claim you're making, but you're not backing it up with any evidence. You're not even addressing the claim that's being made. Therein lies the problem, especially when you do it robotically. If you do it so it looks like you're winging it, so it looks like in a roundabout way at least you're addressing the issue, you can get away with it. You can get away with murder if you know how to do that in politics. Justin Trudeau, obviously under pressure, cannot do so. He might crash and burn. He might get impeached for this, honestly. It'd be the best thing for him, really. He hasn't fulfilled any of his promises to, like, all the liberals either. Where's the weed? People say as they, continue to die of cancer and still get busted for it. I guess some localities are starting to take a hands-off approach and say fuck the Canadian government at this point because they're getting tired of waiting. Good for them. Be the best thing to do, really. Canada should end its drug war, too. If the U.S. and Canada do it together, it'll be a lot easier than if just one or the other does it. For a long time, it looked like Canada would end it first. Now it looks like we're going to be the ones to end it first. We're going to be ahead of Canada on the weed issue. It's going to be hilarious. Now, Justin Trudeau's not leading the charge anywhere but right off a cliff into communism, apparently. So, yeah, the people of Canada should probably protest and try to force him out of office. Yeah, you should rally for his impeachment, hold some protests and so forth. Otherwise, you're going to look really dumb. Your country's going to become a laughingstock. You've elected somebody who's not fit. Rather than get cognitive dissonance, pretend that's not the case, and say, oh, I'm sure he meant well. No, you shouldn't tolerate it. You should get him out as quickly as possible before he does more damage to your national image. The fact that he happens to be taking money from the Chinese isn't the greatest thing under the sun for him to do either. Considering the Western Hemisphere, Canada, do you think you don't trade with countries that really aren't that friendly with the Chinese? Look what the Chinese are doing right now. In the same token that Trudeau would partner with buddy Obama or Biden and say, oh, those bad Russians, always territorial claims and human rights abuses, and you're going to ignore China that's doing 10 times worse? People are beginning to notice that here as well. That's why people like Obama or Hillary Clinton are on their way out. Thankfully, thank goodness. That's about all. Peace out.